Hey guys, it's CognitivePit and I am bringing you a guide on how to improve your aim on virtually every single hero. And it's actually simpler than you'd probably think. So the important thing I want to cover first is the type of aims that exist. So there's really three types of aim in my mind, and only two of them really even apply as real aim. So the first one is target location aim. Some people might call it flick aim, but it's basically being able to not look at the target and then in a single mouse movement be able to go ahead and hit your target. So that's the first type of aim that is extremely important in this game. You absolutely need to know, how far away your mouse is from a target, and you need to be able to move the mouse and hit that target. So that's the first type of aim. The second type of aim that I believe is entirely physical is the tracking aim. So you're already looking at the target, and then as they walk by, you're able to hold your mouse and keep your mouse on that target. So the important thing here is when you notice those two are more like skill sets. They're basic skills you would need in order to aim. You need to be able to look at the target, and you need to be able to follow the target. So those are things that you can train with your hand, and that the more you do, the more comfortable you're going to be with them. The thing that, and the kind of the third aspect, is actually getting better at a singular hero. So as you know, Torbjorn, Mei, all these kind of champions like Pharah, these are champions that feel like you would exclusively play so that you could get better at your aim, because they have such a unique kind of aiming method. They have projectiles, maybe they have some strange drop, or they go very far but they're slow. That kind of thing is really important to take note of when you're trying to get good at the game. Of course, I completely agree, but what that isn't, that is not aim in my mind. In my mind, aim is a physical thing, whereas Pharah, having to predict where someone's going to be, is more game sense. It's game sense and timing versus actual aim. So let's jump in and talk about how we improve your actual aim. So first thing, select McCree. McCree is definitely the hero you want to improve your aim on, because he fires straight. There's really no time in between his shots, and you really have to make every shot count. So those are really the important aspects, and there's really no room for error. So what we're going to do is kind of just come in here, and if you're not good at aiming yet, or you're uncomfortable with using a mouse, definitely take it slow. Just in a single movement, go to the head and go ahead and shoot them. That kind of thing, until you're very comfortable, is what we want to do. And slowly you're going to increase the speed on that to what someone would probably call closer to flick aim. So, flicking at them. You know exactly how far you need to move on your mouse pad to hit them. That kind of thing is what you're going to get used to. But that takes time and it takes practice. And McCree is the best person to do that in here. It's really getting comfortable with your mouse, comfortable with the mouse pad that you have, your sensitivity and things like that is what you're going to get comfortable with. Just doing this, making sure you're hitting their head, things like that. And as you advance, not only do you want to increase speed, you also want to start kind of jumping around and moving erratically. And what this is going to do is help mimic a real game a little bit more, so you're going to be at different angles, things like that. But it's also going to help with your movement later in the game as well too, which is really important for tracking. So when it's time to move on to tracking, you'll have this movement kind of comfortable. You want to be able to have full control over your character, not just the gun you're pointing. So definitely a good idea to kind of run around here and do this sort of thing. So let's move on to tracking now. Once you're comfortable with that kind of flick motion, we want to get comfortable tracking. So let's look at a robot, and we can just follow them with our mouse. That's kind of the first step here. If you are unable to follow them, or even just kind of shoot them along their path, make sure you stay on them and shoot them every time, then that's where you want to start. Take it very slow. Make sure you're very accurate, you're steady. This is going to train your hand and your wrist and your arm. So it's important to note, just like any other sport, a basketball player conditions himself by running. While running isn't the end game of basketball, it's an important skill that you need to have. Having the condition to run is really important. So we're conditioning our hand to get used to what it takes to follow an enemy at different targets, or different ranges rather. And once we do that, we can incorporate what we really want to end up with, which is strafing and following. So we want to be able to strafe back and forth and follow these targets here. So what I can do is just follow them, and we're good there. The other thing we want to keep in mind here too, and it incorporates this into your aim, is that your aim isn't only with your mouse. You can also move in this game with WASD, of course. So what you can do is actually strafe alongside somebody, and you don't even have to really use your mouse at all. So that's something to keep in mind, that as you're strafing, you can use your movements to actually make sure you're still hitting them. If a tracer is running by you, you can strafe along with her, and it makes your life a lot easier than just trying to look around and shoot. So definitely something to keep in mind, and something you want to be comfortable with. You want to be comfortable moving around, moving alongside them and shooting, and this is stuff that you can do just in the practice range as McCree, and not the hero that you want to either main or play a lot of. But now that we have these kind of basic skills kind of brewed up here, I'm going to prove to you here, by switching to Torbjorn, that this is definitely the route to go. So let's switch to Torbjorn, someone who has a pretty insane projectile here, honestly. So when you shoot it, not only does it go down, but it also takes a while to get there, so it's pretty slow. So you could definitely say that he is very much not like McCree in that aspect. So we're going to hop on here, and I'm going to show you, kind of prove to you here, that the two types of physical aim are going to improve every single hero. So when we get here, perfect, I can see that this robot's strafing back and forth, and if I do what I was doing before, I'm not hitting him. While I'm using my tracing and I'm aiming right at his head, I'm unable to hit him, but that's because Torbjorn doesn't work the same way as McCree, we know that. And that can lead people to think that they should only play Torbjorn to increase their aim, but that's completely incorrect. Now that we've kind of trained up our basic skills, we understand what it takes to flick to an area. We can flick to wherever we want. You know, if I want to look at this up here, I can come down here, then look up at it. I can look up at it. I'm not going to overshoot it. I'm not going to come to the side by accident. I have total control over my mouse. So when I'm playing Torbjorn, who I have to lead a little bit with, all I have to do, and this is where the game sense and game knowledge and timing comes in, I know I have to shoot a little bit ahead. So the flick aiming that I practiced, I know I can flick right in front of the enemy. I don't have to flick right to their head. The other thing too with tracing, I don't have to trace directly on them. I can trace ahead of them, and then when I shoot, I'm going to shoot him. So I'm taking what I learned as far as the flicking and my hand understanding and doing what I want. I'm taking those skills and applying them to other heroes, and it's going to work for every single other hero. I promise you that. Choose McCree, get in here and practice, even if it's just a warm-up. If you're really uncomfortable, and I mean really uncomfortable with PC first-person shooters, you absolutely have to do this. You're going to see a huge improvement, not just in your McCree play, but your general aim is going to be so much better. The important thing is that it is important to play the hero you want to be and get used to their timing and where you have to shoot. So it's definitely important to play them, but getting your basic skills first is absolutely the most important thing you can do, and is going to give you the overall most kind of bang for your buck. If you're going to spend 2 hours playing Torbjorn, your aim still might suck at the end of it, but if you practice with McCree for 2 hours, and if that's like 15 minutes, and so on, and just small sessions, you're going to improve like crazy. Thank you guys so much for watching. I would love to hear how you guys practice your aim in this game. It's not like Counter-Strike where we have a bunch of aim maps, so I'd love to hear what you guys do to warm up and practice your aim and things like that. And definitely thank you for watching. Feel free to subscribe if you want more content just like this.